for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Some administrative items first. I'm going to make some appointments. Recorder, Michelle Bennett. Parliamentarian, Joe Moore. Timekeeper, Tom Butler. Sergeant at Arms, Lieutenant Greg Shope. And Teller, Bill Wentworth. As has become a tradition in Ocean Pines, it's my pleasure and honor to present an award, the Sam Wilkinson Volunteer of the Year Award, which was established in honor of 8-year-old Sam Wilkinson, who lost his life in a tragic accident at Northside Park in Ocean City. As a way to honor the memory of Sam and the Wilkinson family for their dedication, participation, and coaching to the Ocean Pines Recreation and Parks Department, this award was established to recognize other outstanding individuals who dedicate their time and talents to help others. Each year, the Recreation and Parks Department staff take this opportunity to acknowledge someone who has given freely of his or her time to better our department and its programs. This year, Sam Wilkinson Volunteer of the Year is Mr. Frank Kramer. Frank grew up in Maryland's Montgomery County on the western shore. He and his wife, Dee, raised their kids and worked there for 30 years. Going to the beach was always their destination in the summer, and somehow Frank knew that they would not end up there. In 1999, they discovered Ocean Pines and bought a weekend getaway house. It did not take them long to figure out which side of the bridge they wanted to be on. In 2005, everything fell into place, and Frank and Dee moved to Ocean Pines permanently and never looked back. In Ocean Pines, Frank discovered what we had to offer, was just what he was looking for. He joined the OP Tennis Club, the OP Platform Tennis Club, the OP Ping Pong Club, and became co-founder of the OP Pickleball Club. Frank introduced himself to Sonia Bounds, Director of Recreation and Parks, and the recreation staff. Once he saw what they did, he knew he wanted to help. With his outgoing personality and smile-inducing laughter, Frank became a very popular volunteer. He began teaching pickleball clinics and giving free lessons to help build up the growing racket presence in Ocean Pines. Frank has also volunteered as the costume contest judge. Good luck with that one. at the fall Halloween Festival, helped with Ocean Pines Hometown Christmas, and volunteered to help hide hundreds of Easter eggs at the Springs Festival. Some have never been found. In addition to volunteering at the Recreation Department, Frank also enjoys helping with some of the maintenance and upkeep at the Manklin Creek Racket Center. And in his spare time, Frank has also served on several Ocean Pines advisory committees. Frank says that helping is just his way of giving back to this great community, which has given him and his wife a wonderful place to live and lots of great friends. For all that he has done for the Recreation and Parks Department of Ocean Pines, Frank Kramer has been awarded the 2015 Sam Wilkinson Volunteer of the Year Award. There we go. Hey, Frank. Congratulations. Now now like to ask our teller, Bill Wentworth, do we have a quorum, Bill?
Yes, sir, we do. We have 112 property owners.
Way to go. Okay, with the quorum, we'll proceed with the business of the association. The first item on the agenda is the approval of the agenda. Do I have a motion?
So moved.
Second.
All in favor? Aye. Approval of the minutes of the annual meeting, which I believe were handed out at the beginning of the meeting. And do I have a motion to approve the minutes?
So moved.
Do I have a second?
Second.
All in favor? Aye. We now begin with the reports, starting with Joe Moore, our legal counsel.
The legal front in the last year has been fairly uneventful in that the primary participation by my office has been giving on occasions advice to the president of the board or individual board members regarding matters involving compliance with the Maryland Homeowners Association Act, which governs the actions, of course, of the board of directors in Ocean Pines. During the year, my office filed 9 cases in the Circuit Court for Worcester County, enforcing the declaration of restrictions or the Architectural Review Committee guidelines regarding the use of property within the subdivision. In all of those cases, injunctions were either issued or the case was settled by virtue of compliance by the respective property owners of the properties in question. Due to an increased participation by Mr. Thompson's staff and my office with regard to foreclosures within Ocean Pines on properties which owe Ocean Pines assessments, closer monitoring of the values of the property in relation to the principal amount due on mortgages was instituted. In one case, Ocean Pines Association purchased a property at a foreclosure with the intention of having the property resold in an effort to achieve the payment of the assessments owed. Unfortunately, as you can imagine, in most cases, the amount owed on the mortgage equals or in some cases exceeds the assessed value of the property, so there's no equity in the property upon which Ocean Pines can base its decision to purchase. One case of some significance occurred during the year. The contract between Ocean Pines Association and its police officers require a police officer candidate who is not certified by the Maryland State Police Training Commission to agree that in those cases in which Ocean Pines pays for the cost of training, the police officer will remain in the employ of Ocean Pines for a period of 3 years following the completion of his certification as an officer. The contract, which was amended some time ago by Chief Massey, provides that in the event any police officer does not remain in the employ of Ocean Pines Association for the requisite 3-year period, he or she will pay the association an amortized amount of the cost of training, so that the longer he or she remains in the employ of Ocean Pines, the less payment is received or required, and after 3 years, no amount is owed. In one instance, however, a police officer remained in the employ of Ocean Pines for only a 10-month period, after which time he accepted employment with the Sheriff's Department in Dorchester County. Through his attorney, he declined to comply with the requirement of the employment contract with Ocean Pines because his lawyer claimed that the payment constituted a penalty, which he alleged was unenforceable. We filed suit on behalf of Ocean Pines, and Chief Massey, Bob Thompson, and Art Carmine traveled with me to court in Dorchester County where the judge, after hearing all the evidence, granted a judgment in favor of Ocean Pines Association in the full amount owed. The significance of this action is that Ocean Pines Association now has a judicial precedent for the enforcement of its employment contract with its police officers. And the judgment on behalf of Ocean Pines creates a precedent for the future enforcement of our contracts. As in past years, as I always report, my office, through my partner Chris Woodley, cooperates with our Carmine staff in monitoring and aiding in the enforcement of the payment of Ocean Pines assessments. And that's my report, Mr. President.
Thank you, Joe.
We'll now have our auditor report.
Thank you and good morning. Our audit of the financial statements, which is prepared by management, produces a 40-page document. That document is, for those that would like to receive a copy, is currently on the Ocean Pines website. I believe the entire 40-page document is included there. Probably the most important page of that document is the page that describes what we are hired to do, and that page would be the one page that's on our audit firm's letterhead, TGM's letterhead. Has no numbers and is titled the Independent Auditor's Report. Not only is it the most important for folks sitting out here, but it's also the most important for the board of directors who hires the independent audit firm. And that report's broken down into 4 paragraphs. The first paragraph is what we're actually reporting on: the balance sheet, the income statement, cash flows, and the notes to the financial statements. The second paragraph talks about management's responsibilities and that the financial statements are indeed management's, not ours, and that we are hired to give an opinion on those financial statements which are produced by management. The third paragraph discusses the auditor's responsibilities, which is to provide an opinion on the financial statements. Now, in order to do so, we conduct our audit in accordance with auditing standards generally accepted in the United States of America. This means that we complied with the standards established by the accounting profession for conducting and performing the audit. A few of these standards include having adequate technical training, which we're required to have 120 hours of continuing education every 3 years. Maintain independence in fact and appearance. Properly plan the work and supervise the staff that are working on the audit. Obtain an understanding of the client, including the client's internal controls. Obtain sufficient audit evidence by performing audit procedures. And finally state whether the financials follow all generally accepted accounting principles and give our opinion. The next sentence states that the standards require us to perform the audit to obtain reasonable assurance about whether the financial statements are free of material mistake. Reasonable means that there's a high level of assurance, but not an absolute level of assurance. We also audit on a test basis. In other words, we don't verify, inspect, or audit every transaction. There's an element of sampling. It is also important to note that while we test and consider internal controls to plan the audit, we do not give an opinion on internal controls. We're not giving an opinion on the internal controls, but on the financial statements and the numbers themselves. And then finally, the last paragraph is our opinion, and there are several types of opinions: unmodified, modified, adverse, and a disclaimer of an opinion. And those go in order from good to bad. And so unmodified is the highest level of assurance that we can give on our financial statements, which is a clean opinion, and that's what the association once again received for the year ended April 30, 2015. Regarding the numbers themselves, if you took a snapshot at April 30, 2015, the association still remains in a healthy position. If you took a snapshot at that day, the association had approximately $8.4 million of cash and cash equivalents, including certificates of deposit. And if you compare that to a year prior, of approximately $7.4 million. So again, still a healthy position for the association. The current year operating results, If you look at fund balance, overall fund balance increased approximately $1.5 million, which is about $1 million increase in reserves, a $600 increase in the plant fund, and a slight decrease of $100,000 in the operating fund after some transfers to the reserve fund from the operating fund. And once again, this entire financial statement is available for review on the association's website. That is my report.
In thinking about what to say for today's meeting, I decided that I would just focus on a few of the things that preoccupied the board and the press during the past year. Sandpiper, natural gas. It's 2 years since the board that preceded this one formed a working group to reach out to Sandpiper and to remind them that the OPA agreement with ESG, the company that Sandpiper purchased, was expiring. Bob Thompson was. There were some narrative and discussions between Sandpiper and the board. And at the beginning of, I think it's this year, Bob Thompson was appointed to create a dialogue that would move the process further along. Recently, he's been reappointed to reopen that dialogue, and to the extent that he is able, he will report on it, the current status. The only point I want to make clear is that at no time during the past 2 years did this board or the board that preceded us walk away from the table or refuse to continue discussion. Golf management. Oops. I'll talk to that in another slide. Sorry about this. Some of the issues, as in the case of Sandpiper, the board prior to this one appointed a working group to look at the issues with golf management and to look for alternatives. Basically, growing losses, financial losses, and declining membership. Now, during a point in time when we were, the last board was looking for alternatives. They also extended the BCG contract, Billy Casper Golf contract, by 1 year. At a midpoint in that contract, there was a goal that was set in which the board determined at that time that they would reopen the competition and not continue the Casper contract beyond that year. Now, Casper, of course, was open and did, in fact, participate in the competition. As a result of that competition, Landscapes Unlimited was selected out of 3 bidders at the time. And I say that the bidders offered 3 very different options. The landscape or the Casper was proceeding on a path where they were focusing, and with some good results, on bringing in outside play to the golf course, particularly package play. And though the numbers didn't reach what we had hoped or budget, there was definitely progress being made in that regard. Landscapes Unlimited offered a different approach, or at least we believe, in that they said that a community the size of Ocean Pines should be able to support its own golf course. Should be. And they instead were focusing on bringing back not just the members of the course, but the members of the association that live or vacation here in Ocean Pines, bringing them back to the course. Ultimately, that was the argument, I think, that convinced the majority of the board to go with landscapes. Octo performance was a hot item of discussion during the year. And I'm not going to say too much about this. We had first year growing pains and losses. And, looking back, with perfect hindsight, that should have been expected. And I think really was expected. Now, the GM has initiated some management changes as a result of the lessons learned during that first year, and fairly significant ones. And all I want to say is that so far, looking at the first 2 months' financials, the results are very encouraging. One of the early in this calendar year, we went through the budget process. And that was interesting. For some people it was interesting. For others, maybe not so much. The budget itself did have a modest assessment increase, and that accommodated the need for improved emergency services. The fire department did come in with a request to expand its emergency service personnel. But the net impact, with the board approval of this in the budget, is that the fire department will be able to make multiple or simultaneous calls when those situations arise. And basically, it makes Ocean Pines a safer place to live in, period. There is a continuing, and it seems like this is just a perennial discussion of replacement reserves. Do we have too much, or do we have too little? In the budget initially presented, the replacement reserve, as specified in Resolution FO3, continue to be separated into a historical reserve and a 5-year plan reserve, which is now going into its 7th year, and still receiving over $1 million a year in assessment dollars. The rationale for continuing the 5-year funding, although the term was eliminated, is that we still have a deficit in that particular column, and that's we will have $1.1 million after this year's funding, and that'll carry us into next year. Now, at the same time, however, the historic reserve shows a surplus of $4.3 million. The average expenditures out of that reserve over the past 5 years has been approximately $1.1 million. And we have no hard plans for spending much more than that. So go figure. Now, to be honest, this discussion just hurts my head. The only real question is whether or not we have enough in our total replacement reserves to meet our short, intermediate, long-term needs. And we can't know that until we have defined what those needs are. There are some who have said this budget simply moves numbers from one reserve category to another and calls the 5-year $130 per year per member assessment by another name. I agree, but so what? The need to maintain, upgrade, and possibly replace our aging infrastructure won't disappear by pretending it isn't there. The desire to improve and expand our facilities won't go away. Okay, there's something that's been referred to as the three-legged stool, not something I would want to sit on, but on the other hand, it does describe three different processes that lead to the definition, will lead to the definition of what it is that we need in the future. I'm going to start by just talking about the reserve study. Whoops, wrong. This past week, I signed a contract with DMA, a reserve company specialist, who is going to provide us a study which basically encompasses a physical analysis of all the major components in our common areas. Those things that the OPA are required to maintain, and a financial analysis of the OPA's reserve status and contributions. It will provide a finding of the OPA's reserve status and a recommended funding plan for that. The last study we had of that type was in 2008. Far too long. While the reserve study provides the basic data on the expected life and cost of component replacement, it does not in itself make the trade-offs necessary to decide whether to continue maintenance, incorporate individual component replacement into a major renovation, or to rebuild. It will also not factor in the current and future use of the capital asset that we have under consideration. The reserve study is a necessary precursor to a capital improvement plan. But in a community as large and complex as Ocean Pines, with so many interrelated parts, it is not sufficient. Moreover, if our existing reserve study is badly dated, so are other sources of information. And here I'm going. One of the things that we did starting towards the end of last year, early this year, with Jerry Avita and staff, is look at what information we, Ocean Pines, actually had on the status of our facilities, our infrastructure, our assets. What do we know? What don't we know? Now, it's hard to read all this, but the area in red indicates that we have very badly dated, not usable information in any way, shape, or form. The area in green says that we have relatively good information. Not surprisingly, we have relatively good information about the yacht club. Why shouldn't we? We just built it. Now, by the way, that little red slip down there are the marina boat slips, which doesn't quite fall into the yacht club, but it's there, they're there. And we have no hard information on what the conditions of those slips are, though if I asked Ron Fisher, he could probably tell me. On the other hand, if you look up at the country club, you look at the best information we have comes from the reserve study back in 2008. We have had engineering studies. There's one in 2011 that took a hard look at it and pointed out all of the maintenance items that had to be done. And by the way, we not only looked at what information or in engineering studies we had, But also, what were the maintenance records? What are the maintenance records on these facilities? Computer architecture. A lot of red and yellow, not so good. Very little information on that. Bridges, a lot of red. Although we do have had inspectors from the state coming in and supplying us with reports. Some green in Whitehorse Park, but again, not much. And I'm just talking about the documentation. The red does not reflect the status of the asset. It reflects what we know about the status of the asset. Now, it also is important to note that the capital improvement plan focuses on requirements. What is it that we need to bring our assets up to the point where they should be? What are the hard requirements? It doesn't get into what do we want. And this is where the third leg of the stool clicks in. Okay. The comprehensive plan, recently we just signed an agreement, management agreement with a group, Beacon from Salisbury University, to provide us some tools to build scenarios for looking into the future. That's what a comprehensive plan does. It looks out and says, we are here, but what is going to change in the next 10 years that is going to make us need or want something different? And the comprehensive plan, and that's exactly what its purpose is. So again, it's another element of planning and looking forward. Oops, sorry about this. Well, all right, I finally got it. By the way, Bob is going to give me lessons on this. He's promised. All right, moving forward. I mean, three things. We have to focus on maintenance. We have to focus on infrastructure. It's all well and good to look at the buildings to say, hey, the community center is really downhill and we need to do something about it. We have a new yacht club. But on the other hand, we also have bridges that are in bad state of repair. We have roads that we have to look at. We have a drainage infrastructure. That all of these things are moving forward, but the focus has to be placed on them, and more of a focus than we have in the past. Our IT is another thing that very little has been done with. And the other thing is to focus on our needs first. What's required? We're looking to see how we can make things better at the same time. Thank you very much. And now our general manager, he will tell us, aside from all this boring stuff, the really neat things that you can use and see and touch.
Good morning. All right, they gave me permission to play the fun stuff today, so they covered all the heavy, hard stuff, and I'm going to give you some highlights that probably everyone doesn't get to see in the association. As I look around the room, I see some folks participate in some activities, some that don't, but I think it's important, especially at the annual meeting, to share with everyone the variety of activities we do here in Ocean Pines and raise the awareness of all the things that occur here throughout the year. Now, I promised Mr. Collins asked me to go ahead and take everything from all year and put it in one slide presentation, which, where are you, Jack? Take about 2 hours. And he said, oh, no. He walked out. He walked out, okay. No, I promised to be very brief. So, all right, let me cover some of the projects real quick.
We had two of our major pools, major work on our pools this year. First was the Mumpers. We had a couple things happening. The bottom of the pool, okay, I don't know if everyone's aware, but we had some leaks under the bottom of the pool. It had been occurring for years. The pool on the bay side, that far end, had shifted somewhat, and it actually dropped a few inches, which was leading to some of the leak, which then also caused under the pool, we had some voids under the pool. Okay, and that's where we're having the water leak over the years. So we had basically had that pool inspected. We drained it. We did pressure testing, all kinds of things to figure out what our next steps were. And if anyone attended any of the meetings, they saw the different pressure tests, the different engineering reports, the different samples. So we came up with a plan to get it fixed. And what I wanted to show you was pictures of where they actually drained the pool, pictures of the work they did on the base of the pool, and then the far side, or the water side of the pool, which the water's back here between the two peaks here, that's the side that it dipped. They actually dug out around the base, or around the foundation of that pool, dug it down to the foundation of it, and actually shored it up, and then put rebarb and new concrete in. So that end of the pool is now exactly the way it's supposed to be for us. So with that repair being done, one of the things that we considered, which is something we had not used before, was a liner for, as opposed to going straight back with the hard surface, the concrete or diamond bright surface. One of the things with the Mumford's pool, those that may not know, it's heavily used by young kids. Right next to the pool, we also have the baby pool. So it's with a 5-foot pool and the baby pool right next to it. It's a good family pool for the young kids. And what happens, anybody who has young kids know they're in water for a very long time. And with the bottom of the pool being abrasive, it wears on their feet. So one of the things we thought we'd do is try a liner in there. Huge success this year. We've had a lot of people very, very excited about, a lot of very, very positive feedback about the liner. The other interesting part about the liner, it also has a longer warranty than Diamond Bright. So it was just a neat initiative, something we wanted to try, and it's been a pretty big success so far this season for us. Some of the other things on the Mumford's pool, we did a wrap or a surround once the pool got refinished, and it's a rubber rock material. And what it is a rubberized surround. And again, if you recall, I showed you pictures where they actually took the concrete out around the base of the pool, so they had to come back with concrete. So in doing that, we had them apply this rubber rock material, and it's just kind of a soft transition into the pool. People have been very, very pleased with that. We're looking at that product for some other applications in the community. So we're excited about how that pool's turned out, fixing of a long-term problem of a leak back there, and making sure we have the pool that's safe. Other pool, we completely refinished. If you recall, over the years, we plastered. This year, we basically tore it right down to the base, and this is the actual swimmer racket club took it all the way down to the base and replastered that. And we like to go ahead with the plaster, the diamond bright finish. This happens to be the pool where the swim team uses. We put new lane lines in. One of the things we found, when we put the pool back together, the ladders, if you recall, the old ladders actually went into the pool, and then we had a big fiberglass ladder that went over the edge of it. So when we were looking at redoing the pool, we went with this type of ladder to leave more room for the lane lines around it so you don't have the ladder to bump into when you're swimming. Well, so all of the steps are actually recessed into the pool side. Well, the challenge that creates for us is some folks, that's not as easy to get in and out of the pool. So what we did was we went ahead and within a couple of weeks of having the pool open, we realized that we had a lot of feedback from our membership, so we ordered the new fiberglass steps to put in. So unfortunately, they take 6 to 8 weeks because they're not something you buy off the shelf. It's something that you actually have to custom order. So they'll be here at the end of the season, but they'll be fully operational for the next season. And we've learned a lesson about the type of entrance situation we have, especially with the unique nature that we have all ages using our pool. So it is again, lessons learned. You do something, you hope you're doing a good job with it, and you we missed it, but you learn from it and you keep going. So the other thing is we reopened the snack bar inside the building there. It was open years ago, and it was something we want to try this year. And so far, it's been very, very successful. We've already exceeded our revenue numbers that we had budgeted for the year, so that's very positive. We've partnered with Coke to bring their products in. We have pizza, we have hot dogs. a number of different things, and it's a nice grab and going. And because of where that particular pool is, folks like to go out there and use the pool, and they like to stay most of the day. It's very, very convenient between the bathrooms, the showers, now the snack bar. It's very, very successful so far this year, and the numbers look good. Another project we worked on, White Horse Boat Ramp. For those that haven't seen it or haven't been down there, this work was done over the winter months. White Horse Boat Ramp's back behind the admin building, for those that don't know it. We reconfigured the entire ramp. We used what we did when we were looking at redoing it, instead of just coming up with the exact ramp we had, working with a couple of the folks on the Environmental Natural Assets Committee, a couple of the other committees helped us come up with a design that was very, very similar to the boat ramp that went in West Ocean City. So it's a floating dock in the middle. So this actually floats up and down as the tide shifts up and down. So when folks go to launch their boat and or bring the boat back in, this actually floating pier goes up and down, so it's easy. It makes it easy access in and out. We also made an L-shaped pier, so after you launch your boat, you're able to pull it out of the way for the next person to use, and they go out and move your car. So it's worked out very, very well. Folks have been very, very pleased with it. So if you haven't been down there to look, please go down and take a look at it. The marina at the Yacht Club, we did do some work down there, and it was with the fuel pumps. We actually ran all new lines out to the marina area. In doing so, we had to pull up all of the best way to get to it was actually pulling up the boards that ran down here. And if you recall, we moved the tanks when we did the Yacht Club, and our next step after we finished that was to go ahead and replace these pumps. So we ran all new lines down here, and this whole dock area actually is elevated about 4 to 6 inches. So instead of going under the water to replace the piping, it's actually between this level of dock and the decking that was below it. When you put streamers in and ran it, just made it much more efficient, easier to get to, and you don't need divers in there checking. It also prevented it, if you went under, it would be a wraparound system, which created some safety concerns for a boat hitting the side of it. So there were a lot of advantages to tearing this up, going straight down, and keeping all encapsulated in there. So that turned out well. The new tanks or the new pumps are working out extremely well. They're more accurate, easier to program. We can calculate how much fuel, those type of things, much more efficiently now. We did stick with the mechanical ones. The option was to go to digital, the computer-generated ones, and they certainly look a lot nicer, but the challenge marinas have had across the country with the new digital ones is the salt water being right next to the water. They tend to have some issues with them. Anytime you have computers near the water, that'll happen. So that dampness, we elected to go ahead and stick with the kind of the tried and true mechanical pumps. And that was a decision we made just because they seem to last forever. So went with that, new reels, and this was kind of a look from with the new decking, the new lines, and the new pumps in. So that worked out extremely well, and the folks come out for fuel have appreciated it. Some projects that you'll see upcoming, we're working on the Manklin Meadows project. That particular project is we're putting in platform tennis courts. We're putting in pickleball or paddleball courts as well. So there's going to be some shifting. Unfortunately, that process takes a little longer. There's a state required process that now occurs, a permitting process that occurs. It just slows it down a little bit. But we're working through that. That should begin as a spring project for us. And the reason, some things to understand, playground has to be shifted over. It's going to disrupt the community gardens a little bit, so we have to make some adjustments there. And then we have some parking lot issues in addition to the port situations that will occur. So it's more of a long-term process, long-term planning. And as a result, it's just delayed some of the permitting process because you have to get everything, stormwater, environmental, all those things involved. So that's moving along well now. Yes, sir?
Ready, plant, paint, tennis, club center, nice area, paint is peeling around the building.
Sir, yeah, that's ongoing maintenance, yes. That'll be something that will be identified for the budget process. Sports court pool. We had budgeted to do the pool this year. We delayed that. I recommended last board meeting to the board to delay that project. Primary reasons behind that. First, we just put a new liner in and the Diamond Bright at our other two pools. So evaluating that, we've had a lot of very, very positive comments about the liner. So what we want to do is really take a hard look and decide which of those two options we want to look at for the sports court covered pool. The second thing that we're looking at, as you know, the sports court pool, actually we have decking issues around the cracks, the seams. I mean, there's just a lot going on there. So we're evaluating the rubber rock material as a strong alternative to cover that decking, which will make it a lot nicer. When they do that, we'll be able to level it so the water runs the way it's supposed to. The last piece, which is a big issue, I talked about the entry with the steps. We're looking at potentially adding an entry much like Mumford's, where you have stairs that go, permanent stairs that go into the area. So there were three things that we hadn't thought about when we were budgeting last year for it, of options that we think we want to consider moving forward. Talking with the aquatics committee and several people that actually are in the pool on a regular basis, everyone was very excited about, hey, it's okay to slow down a little bit to take these things into consideration. The board agreed with us as well. So that'll be something. We'll put the RFP out sometime in the fall. We'll also start the permit process with the state once we make the final decisions of what type of base we're going to put in there and what type of entry will go in. So we'll start that. So should have everything permitted by the springtime, which would then make construction for that July, August. And the reason we're doing that is we have 4 other pools available at that time. At this point, if we're trying to do it, we weren't 100% sure which type of base we wanted to go with. And secondly, it would put us September, October, November, depending on the permits, at the earliest, which would mean we'd have no pools available for you. So it was a decision to wait till next summer. That way we have pools available and to make sure we make the right decision. Because quite frankly, it's going to be a lot of money to do. And it's going to be a long-term, that's a 15 to 20-year out to get it right. So we want to do it right. Just some points, and again, I'm not going to get into a whole lot of detail, but the police department and their efforts help us. Ocean Pines is recognized once again as one of the safest cities in Maryland. We're either number 1 or 2. It has been for the 3rd year in a row, third-party agencies. Sure. Yeah. I share that because some folks just don't always get we get pulled over, we get frustrated. You're pulled over, you get upset, they're sitting here, they're sitting there. I will tell you, an active police force makes a huge difference. Compare Ocean Pines to Salisbury and look at the crime rate they have there. Okay, and don't compare to Baltimore, you can even look there, it's so different. But 30 miles away, the crime rate, some of the stats they have. We have a very, very small police force. They're on the road every day. Okay, and it's easy to get overlooked or frustrated when they pull you over running 45 miles an hour down the Parkway or down Capitol Road or what have you. They're keeping us safe, folks. They make there are a couple things out there for their stats this year. 40% reduction in major crimes. They responded to over 12,000 calls for service. Now, when we say calls, that isn't a speeding ticket, or that's not just a crime. Sometimes that's just someone calling from Baltimore and go, hey, I haven't heard from Mom or Dad in a couple days. Can you go check on them? Or, hey, there was a noise next door. Can you come look at something for us? We have a community police force, and they take those extra steps. It would surprise you how many times they get a call to help someone get off the floor and back into their bed. Those type of things go unnoticed. But it is that type of thing that our community police force does for us, and something I want to make sure I brought up, because those safety reports and keeping us as safe as we are actually adds to the value of each of our homes, the safety of our community. So I didn't want not to bring that up during the annual meeting this year. So appreciate everything they do. One of the things I want to point out, 3rd year in a row, we've submitted through the Maryland Recreation Park Association. They come down here annually for their convention in Ocean City. Well, we've started ramping up our participation with them because, again, you can learn from other communities what they do, how they do it. We've submitted for multiple categories, and this year we won 3 of the awards, 1 for best website, 1 for best social media site, 1 for best photo. I just thought I'd bring that up. So for us, I'm sure that tax for those be recognized like that's a pretty big deal, especially at their conference. Interestingly enough, there's our website. Those who haven't seen it, we launched it 2 years ago. It's been extremely successful. Our next step is to make it a little more interactive, which we are working on. So we're excited about that. Interestingly enough, the photo that won for the state was a goose photo. not irony. You can't make it up. I'm telling you. So, again, it just shows. You submit, we'll submit it up. I mean, it was just kind of funny given the whole goose thing. I had to bring it up. So we went for the goose club. And then the last social media site for our Farmers Market. Farmers Market continues to grow. It's been a huge success. I will tell you, it doesn't go without its trials and tribulations, working with the health department, regulate inspections we have to do, all those type of things. But it continues to grow. Anyone who hasn't been out here on Saturday can see how packed it is and participate. Please come out. You'd be surprised. So that's going well. And then the site that we created for it's been extremely interactive. People liked it, and we won another award for it. So that's very, very good. Some other activities that you probably haven't participated in, but feel free to come out and join. I see some young folks in the room, younger folks. Everyone's young. But if you haven't been out to it, I know there's one here, one back there. Come out. We're all kinds of fun events and activities. And the other thing, after the 4th of July, we do the Freedom 5K run. And this year, donated the proceeds from it. We have several hundred people come out for it, despite the weather conditions. And the donation this year, we went to the Worcester County Veterans Memorial. So the money we raised for that went to the memorial this year. So kind of a fun, good event, something we celebrate. Other activities here in the Pines, again, I'm here for the fun stuff. There's a craft fair, farmers market. Just so I can show you some pictures for those that don't come out. Again, a lot of local folks come out, bring theirs, so you don't have to go to the supermarket and buy. You can go there. Some of the summer camps, which if anyone was here at our board meeting last week or our last board meeting and we had kids running out, banging the doors, I know some of you are here, and we all kept looking. It's an active place. Between our soccer camps, which are extremely successful, we actually have surf camps in Ocean City, Ripken baseball camp we started 2 years ago. Our regular camps, which runs for about 9 weeks in the summer, and we're up to approximately 150 kids a week that are coming through here. A lot of kids are using our camp. Biggest jump we've had. Boogie board camp, and then all the kids just raving about the camp. So if you haven't participated, you don't know about them, very, very active around here during the week. So recognize some of the more fun stuff, the boat parade, fishing contest. So I point this out. If you haven't participated, I have about to say you need to make sure you get out when they do this during the year. Just some fun events. I think these folks are having almost too much fun. I don't know if they're getting in the water or not, but not. Okay. Our fishing contest are a big hit around the ponds. Okay, I'm open for just 2 minutes of questions for me. I get all the fun stuff. I get all the dry stuff. I got big fun. Yes, sir. Only a couple, and you don't get any. You have none. Yes, sir.
Are we ever going to get the electric signs of information of what's going on on a basis?
Good question. Are we getting the electric signs? That's something we're looking at. We have to work close with the county. Some efforts that started last year with one of our committees on it. We're now engaged with it. So it is something we're looking into. There's some permitting and some other things that have to go along with it, but we are strongly looking. It's budgeted and we're looking in. Yes, ma'am?
I work at a gas club, and I a lot of people saying, whatever happened to the internet? It would be so nice to have a cafe with a gas club. A lot of men are like 8 o'clock in the morning, and they like maybe when they're finished with their friends, so that they whatever, have a cup of coffee, very well when at the old gas club, the ones they were there trying to get a little cafe in the morning.
The question is about the morning coffee house cafe. Switch for the morning sweater. Okay, got that. Just so you know, half the room's going to say don't do it, the other half's going to say do it. Okay, just so we're clear on that. The goal is, and it always has been, new club, the first floor where the harbor master's office is, to have a scaled-down version of that. So the boaters, the swimmers, all those can come in, grab a cup of coffee, a donut, a bagel, what have you. We're working down that line. So one of the things that we found, again, after action, and Mr. Stevens actually mentioned, we had a lot of lessons learned going through the OPA building process. At the size of the bars and the way the bars rotate, we really need a service bar. We had submitted, we had it approved, we're submitted for it. We've been through 4 processes with the county to get that approved. Until we get the service bar approved, we're using that as the overflow service bar and just the harbor master's office. So it's a combination right now. Once we're able to do it, because they're using that spot on weekends for the service bar, we'll be able to convert it and no longer have the bar stuff there. So we'll be able to then start to utilize it more. Because keep in mind, the morning the fishermen, bagels, donuts, come and get, you fill up your boat, you're heading offshore. We want you to fill up with us. We want you to buy the soda, the beer, the ice, the lures, whatever you need. We want to be able to have that available. So that's our primary goal, and then to offer the coffee and sandwiches and those types of things to go as well. So next season, just by the time we get the service bar and stuff approved. All right, but nothing's up.
You might want to sit down.
All right, next question then. Well, go ahead. And I don't have much time. Oh, thank you. It's on the web now.
Thank you.
Now go in the back. I'm moving this way, I promise, because once they jump, I'm jumping. Yes, sir?
Are they going to improve the
I would strongly disagree, and the financials show otherwise. These are our best.
You would take have operator, check out his operation, but I was a rip me off. Don't get it out of my
Okay.
very, this is our investment. No, the amenities of the young part. And it looks like a cafeteria.
Okay. Thanks.
$4 million cafeteria.
Okay. Thank you for your input. But I can't answer it. I mean,
This is not a complaint.
I'm sure
This
it's
is
not.
a compliment. And I want everyone to hear it. I teach an aerobic swim program at Bunkers Lake School Monday, Wednesday, Friday. And we love that pool, and what a fantastic improvement that has been. They just love it. It's like we're in Hollywood.
I'll go right. Yes, ma'am.
Is there any plan to make a change to the dressing room at the sports club? You have to go ladies dressing out into the body and then into. That is a contamination issue as well as being very.
Okay. The question was, are we going to change the access or flow from the dressing rooms, bathrooms, and sports court pool to the pool area, and I'd have to go through the lobby to get there? There's no intent at this point to redesign the building to change that flow. But again, everyone, we're here to hear from, and I go, yes, sir.
This guy has attended the Ripken baseball camp each of the last 3 years. Great camp, well coached, great instructors. They work these like a boot camp. My concern is 2 years ago to now, attendance shrunk in half.
Okay.
Love the camp, worried might be dying off. It's a market issue, whatever. Fantastic camp. I'd like to see it.
Okay, so the statement was the Ripken baseball camp has been an excellent start 3 years ago, and it was better attended 3 years ago and it's dropped off the last 2 years. Is it a marketing issue? Is it that type of thing? I'm not sure. We'll look into it. We engaged with the Ripken camp because not only the name, but it is, you're right, it's very intense. The kids get a lot out of it. So I'm not sure, but we'll look into it. We'd like to continue to recognize it's a good program, and thanks for participating, even though you have a national shirt on. Yes, sir.
Yeah, brought up the issue of tennis.
Yes, sir.
What is the
The question is, he came to the board meeting and brought up tennis courts and what's the issue with it, and that's the Mancla Meadows project I mentioned earlier. It's a spring project. Once that occurs, we'll repaint the tennis courts so you no longer have.
Talking about painting, the sprinklers are not working, and soft courts are stored properly. These issues are correct. It should be.
Gotcha. The question is the maintenance on the sprinkler system and the soft courts. Again, we changed our management structure for the Swim Racket Center this year. We've also started some efforts and had contractors come in to review the sprinkler system. And the RAC committee is aware of it and the steps we're taking through that. So you might want to talk to John McNulty about that. All right, I'm only going to take two more because I don't want to tie up your whole morning. I know everyone wants to get to kind of the next page. But yes, sir.
There seems to be a chronic water main break because of age, perhaps. Do you have any information on what's going to be done about that in the future?
Are you talking about the one here all week or where?
The ones along the parkway, for example. It seems like you go up there hardly a week ago and they're repairing a break.
Yeah, the water line, the county, so everyone knows, the county is working on our water and sewer lines. They have a plan in place where they're actually a progress of replacing water lines to homes and force mains. That occurred down the parkway here. They're working on a major project right behind our building now. It's ongoing. We have a 47-year-old community. The pipes were put in then. The county is addressing those. And they have a systematic approach. It just, when things pop up, it derails the approach, and then they get to, they're aware of it, and they're working. And one more in the back. Yes, sir.
Yep, the boat ramp did a really nice job.
Thank you.
Do you have any plan for a gate there with a card system or something so we can start generating, just to generate some money from all the commercial guys that use it constantly, to put in boats, and put in their crabbing boats, do all this stuff? At least you can make some money to keep it in. You have to replace it.
Yeah, and that's been, as you probably know, that's been brought up several times. With the new boat ramp, the money we spend on the ramp, is there a way to either gate it, to limit or control the access, where there may also be some revenue? Yes, it's something that's been looked at. We looked at a gate much like Smitty McGee's has, the swipe card gate. We looked at a push button gate. We are looking at those. We just haven't gotten to a point where we said that's exactly what we want to do. The other thing we looked at is stickers. So when people park, they just hit sticker on the trailer so we know. So, yes, a lot of things have been considered. Nothing's been finalized yet. All right, okay, and I'm going to move on. Sir, I'll grab you after the meeting if you don't mind. I'm being prompted to keep moving.
I want everybody to see my question.
We will. You will have an opportunity in just a minute.
All right, thank you.
Question, Meg, with the fun stuff. We have no old business, and there has been no notification, advance notification, and therefore we have no new business. We now can move on to public comments, and I would ask anybody, sir, back there, if you want to make a comment or come up and address the assembly, to do so at that microphone. Our timekeeper, Tom Butler, is there. There is a trap door right which he controls, so stand in the middle of it so you don't get hit going down. Okay, do I have any public comment? Yes. And please give your name and address.
Yeah, my name is Hussein Mirza. Like, 25 next way. Regarding sand pipe, I'm wondering what is the issue there? Can you tell me what is the issue? Sand pipe?
That issue is being discussed right now. It's in negotiation. So the answer is no, we can't tell you.
What was the question?
I'm sorry. The question is, what is the issue with Sandpiper, and can we tell you anything about it now? Bob Thompson has been authorized by the board to have a dialogue with Sandpiper. He is doing that and reporting back as much as he can to the board. So that's where it stands right now. There won't be any public comments until there's something to comment on.
I have worked in a gas utility company 10 years. What I understand from them, the Sandpiper, they have natural gas, they have propane. Propane is very high price. They are making more money, and they will keep on dragging their feet not to have natural gas. The residents have already suffered for 2 years or 3 years not having natural gas. And what I understand, the problem is that Ocean Finance Association is asking for a $250,000 hourly fee. And I think if you give that up, Sandpiper will have no excuse not to think natural gas works, and the resident will largely suffer.
Okay, thank you for your comment. Anyone else? Anyone else? I see a hand.
Hello, I'm Pam Dameron from 2 Pros, and I came to the board last month.
Got real close.
I'm Pam Dameron from 2 Pros, and I meet last month started this morning. And I know they're all being installed, and I just want to read a letter that I have sent to Mr. Wheatley of Chop. This is regarding the unsolicited installation of smart information content. The radiation danger they pose to health, safety, privacy is well documented numerous throughout the United States and Canada. We have not, with the continuous electronic magnetic radiation frequency that is coming through our homes and out through the community, is a danger to our health for our children. This is also set by government control via the electric companies in which the propaganda lists the benefits but not the dangers. We have done a lot of research on the dangers. Yes, technology is great, but we have to really look into the other side of it. This is a limited grid system, no backup, due to the reduction of power plants and the dispersion of federal grant funding with a political agenda. The majority of residents in Mission Pines don't have an idea of the negative impact of these smart. And also, Governor Hogan gave us the opportunity to opt out. So the ones that are opting out are being hit with heavy fees. And these fees are what we call extortion. If you go to a store or you go get an option with insurance companies, they don't make you pay an extortion fee if you opt out and make another change. Well, they're making us pay. This is a total disregard for citizens. We need demonstrated leadership to delve into our concerns. All we're asking is if you would bring Chop Tank here and to let us have a forum with them and for us to ask them questions and bring people here to know what they're talking about. The radiation flow from these meters, they shoot out at least 20 miles. Now you're thinking about your children and your families. If you're walking the streets, you're walking your dog, you're still getting hit by a certain amount of radiation. We have a lot of that in our communities, and we're trying to sustain that. We're trying to keep that at a low minimum. Also, if the people that are installing these meters, as I have been told, it's like a plug, and if metal components, if they are not installed properly in your home, and there is the least little bit gap, they arc and they cause a spark, and it can be, and it has been documented, fires in your home. So we have to have the right people to install these if you do intend to install them. Bob Thompson, I'm taking your words, and you said to keep our community safe and the well-being. Well, that's what we're trying to do. And I'm just asking the panel to do some research, to delve into this, and really show some concern for this situation. We have a lot of concerns with this. We're not saying not to go forward with technology. We were just asking to show some concern, okay, and let's delve into this and answer our questions. And Governor Hogan was one of the governors that gave Maryland the opportunity to opt out. So why should we have to pay these fees? He said that if we don't want these meters in our homes, we don't have to. So why is the utility companies making us pay these heavy fees? That's it. And I just ask for you to bring Chop Tank here for a meeting.
Thank you for your comment.
My name is Kathy Snell. Kathy Snell. I live at 20 North Bloomingdale. Is it on?
Yes, on.
Okay. Here we go. My name is Kathy Snell. I live at 20 North Bloomingdale Drive. I have done all the research. My degree is in applied science, and I am a concerned resident with regard to the so-called smart. My research has been extensive and has resulted in 5 areas of concern which may impact lives. These concerns should be addressed prior to consent to any smart meter installation. Specifically, it should be informed consent based on independent peer-reviewed studies, tests, not the marketing type presented by. As it stands, present implied consent is the basis for our utility co-op to remove perfectly functioning analog meters, place them radio frequency, radiation, bidding smart meters. In other words, don't say no, you have said yes. This is very shocking to us. There are 7 cooperative which are listed on the co-op's website, which are to be followed in their service to us members. Principle number 2, I quote, democratic member control. Co-ops are democratic organizations controlled by their members who actively participate in setting policies and make decisions. I don't know what they ask. The elected representatives are accountable to the membership. In primary co-ops, members have voting rights. 1 member, 1 vote. Co-ops at any other level are organized in democratic manner. Real. There was no choice or even discussion posed to us members of our Principle number 7, concern community. While focusing on member needs, co-ops work for the sustainable development through policies accepted by their members. Smart meters are not green due to dirty electricity, and therefore they are not even under the realm of sustainability. And again, implied consent does not constitute policy accepted by members, especially when the majority of the members have had no awareness of the decision to deploy smart meters in the first place, and don't even have an idea of exactly what they are. PR and marketing brochures informing us of advanced meter installation are all we have received, announcing the imminent deployment, but these brochures fail to mention that our community will be blanketed in radiation. Where is the independent safety testing? It's not mandated. The only information we have that as of February 2015, new voluntary safety standards were presented after, as admitted in Compliance Today, publication dated February 16, 2015, that smart meters have design laws that have been known to cause serious fire hazards in spots. This has caused a lot of concerns for utilities and manufacturers of smart meters. When presented with the question of hundreds of fires in the U.S. and thousands worldwide, our utility company reps responded that they were unaware of the fires, yet this paper was provided by them. Most homeowners would agree that fire would be a major concern, and yet the media is not reporting these fires. And in many cases, these fires have been deemed fires of unknown origin. The safety testing appears to only apply to internal and external validation tests, link accuracy, and performance. Even the harshest radio frequency environment. There is no mention of radiation output as being brochure. Just that the smart meter is a reliable cash register for utility companies. Additional features indicated in this GE brochure are functions for time of use meters, support and integration with third-party applications, figuring of load profile, time of use, and demand. The GE brochure also mentions regulatory scrutiny and customer engagement. Simply not enough done in this area, and the utility should be worried about regulatory scrutiny and customer concerns prior to their decision to do any of this.
thank you very much for your comment.
Doris Lloyd, Section 14, Lot 8. I have a comment to make. This building was built by our fund, our Ocean Pines members. We also provide the money for the maintenance. I find it very objectionable, morally and ethically, for some people to think that organizations that are 80% Ocean Pine members should be charged to use this building. Thank you.
Nancy Gaither, 24 Federal Hill. I'm a new resident as of September, and I feel that I've moved to a gem on the East Shore. I love it here. Yay. Bob Thompson, you did a great job presenting. Thank you very much. And as I watched your presentation, I kept thinking, with the rec and parks that have gotten recognition, and we're doing some wonderful things, I'm wondering what we as a community can do to help support you when you go to represent us at Sandpiper. We know that issue is amazingly, it's dysfunctional right now. And I was stunned when I got my first heat bill last year. I thought I'd moved over here and was going to get some cost economies. And when I had a $400 heating bill, it nearly froze during the winter. I was very distraught. So how can we help you there? I'm still working. I work for United Healthcare, and I'm telecommuting. And when I moved from Howard County to here, I didn't think to ask if we had FiOS. Duh. Now I know. Duh. And I'm having trouble working, so I had to call Ocean City the other day to see if I could come over and connect somehow with them. And I have friends who want to come and move here, but I've told them, be careful. We've got trouble with propane gas, which, by the way, has gone down a little bit. And I call Sandpiper quite frequently. So I just ask with passion, what can we do as a community? Do we need to get a petition going? Do we need to start? I've never been on a picket line, but I'm not going to go through this. You know, I'm tall. I'll be seen on a picket line. What can we do to help? And you might just take this under advisement for the board. But and also, one thing. I live in the park, so that's a retirement area. These folks, many of them are on fixed incomes. And I hear this all the time. What are we going to do about this? And some have even purchased the heat pumps, and they've told me to go purchase the heat pump. I don't want a heat pump. I want to use natural gas, which is reasonable and can be done. So thank you for listening, and what can we do to help?
Thank you for your comment, and welcome to Ocean Pines.
Thank you. Sir?
Yes.
You want me to use the microphone? Or
Preferably, yeah.
I have balance problems.
No. Yeah, same here.
Let me know if you can hear it. Can you hear me?
Now you have to get it right up there, yeah. Good.
Okay, name and address, please.
Hi, my name's Bill Sheridan. I'm the 8 Ocean Parkway, and I'll be quick. I don't know about this Sandpiper thing, the radiation and all that, but I do believe that if any of that is true, consider looking into it. And the penalty that you pay, the fee you pay to opt out, you hear me? The fee you pay to opt out was actually a penalty. Yacht Club. I heard today again speaking about the yacht club. Ocean Pines has had a yacht club, not quite as oversized, but getting there. We've had a lot of experience on yacht clubs. Yet I keep hearing, you got to learn how to run this yacht club. I don't know. A question, landscape people. I believe one of their primary sales pitches was try to get more Ocean Pines people play in the golf club. I haven't seen any plan or any verbiage or anything regarding that. I don't know if there's anything or anybody can say something about it or not. I don't know. And the last thing is Ocean Pines bylaws allow Ocean Pines to be in the real estate business? That's my question on statements.
Thank you. Anybody else? Actually, Joe, I think we were just asked a legal question. And your quick answer is, Joe, or
Yes.
long answer?
Yes, we can.
The answer is yes, we can. You're up. Okay, please hold down the applause. Hold it down. Little decorum.
I'm a very outspoken man over here about the book, right? And anybody got something to say when I speak, he got the right to come over here. Want nobody to interfere with my speech. Hold it up, Dutch. I'm very disappointed.
Hold the microphone closer.
Oh, okay, I'm very disappointed. The first thing I want to go back. We got 7 board members. We elected 7 board members to represent us. There was one guy, the unfortunately played was Mardi Gras, was outstanding to protect the people of Ocean Pine. We have a clique in the board. We had 5-2 a couple of years ago. Then we had 4-3. Now we got 3-3 with the go.
Dutch. Hold it, Dutch.
Okay, I'll mention no names.
No names and no labels.
All right. But anyway, what I'm saying, the board has to work for the people. And that has not happened. We got problems in it. We got to manage them. It's way out of control. I don't care what you say.
No, that's enough.
That's enough. But anyway,
Why don't you
that's but I want to have the board work with the people. Right. That's not right. We get to it. They're fighting. I go every month to the board. Right? There's no communication. So if you got something to say, guys, you come here and shoot me out.
Thank you, Dutch.
Yeah, thank you, Mr. President. You are good,
I see no other hands, so I'm going to close public comments. And I'm going to ask Bill Wentworth, Chair of our Elections Committee, to announce the election results.
Kill yourself on the way up.
The reality of this, I really enjoy doing this because this is why everyone's come. That doesn't happen. Otherwise, never wants to hear me talk. And this is like the evening news. There's a reason why they have the weather and the sports last. If they had it first, everybody would leave. Turn off the TV, right? So this is why we're doing it. First of all, I'd like to recognize Martin Bear and the nominating committee doing an excellent job in getting followers. I'd like to thank the candidates for all the time and energy they put in to getting involved in the governance of our. So we certainly appreciate that. At this time, I will go through the voting results. Tom Herrick received 1,669 votes. Shoal Jacobs received 1,480 votes. Slobodan Trenvik received 1,195 votes. Terry Moore received 873 votes. Bill Zawacki received 620 votes. And Ray Unger received 219 votes. Our new board of directors are, excuse me, I'm sorry. Carol Ludwig received 651 votes. Our new board of directors are Tom Herrick and Cheryl Jacobs. To the media folks, if you want some of this information, I'll hang around. I can share it with you when after Dave ends the meeting. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Bill, and your committee for doing, again, an excellent job. Can I have a motion to adjourn? The meeting is adjourned.